In other news, Audie Murphy, the most decorated man of World War II, who went on to become a movie star, was found dead this afternoon in the wreckage of a light plane in the hills of Virginia.
Audie Murphy is remembered as America's most decorated World War II soldier, an unlikely hero who rose from poverty through sheer courage. But what if the tragic end of his life wasn't just an accident? How does a man celebrated for bravery become the center of lingering suspicion after his death? For years, his fatal plane crash was blamed on pilot error in poor weather. Yet new questions have begun to surface, hinting at hidden truths and possible forces working behind the scenes. Was Murphy's final flight truly a tragic mistake? Or something far more unsettling? The plane crash mystery. Audie Murphy's death on May 28, 1971, shocked a nation that had celebrated him as a wartime hero and Hollywood star. Official reports say Murphy died in a plane crash near Brush Mountain in Virginia, where the small twin-engine Aero Commander he was riding in went down during poor weather. The initial conclusion was pilot error compounded by bad visibility, a tragic accident cutting short the life of a man who'd faced far greater dangers on battlefields overseas. Yet even from the beginning, cracks appeared in this tidy explanation. Questions surfaced about why the plane flew so low over mountainous terrain, something no experienced pilot should do in those conditions. Those inconsistencies quickly fueled doubt, as onlookers and experts wondered if something more sinister had occurred. Some witnesses claimed the flight path was unusual, and fragments of wreckage critical to understanding the crash were mysteriously missing from the site. Just as troubling were contradictory statements from those involved in the flight and crash investigation, deepening suspicions among those close to Murphy. For many, the accident narrative failed to account for these strange omissions and anomalies. This kept alive a dark curiosity. Was the crash truly an accident, or was there a hidden hand behind Murphy's death? These uncertainties paved the way for conspiracy theories, some more plausible than others, suggesting that Murphy may have been targeted. Theories ranged from retaliation by shadowy enemies to government involvement aimed at silencing him, but none had been proven. For decades, the discussion hovered in the realm of speculation, with Murphy's family rejecting foul play claims and most historians siding with the official accident account. Still, public fascination remained, propelled by the eerie gaps in the official story and Murphy's own mysterious personal struggles. In truth, the story of that fatal day remained incomplete, something that refused to settle even as years passed. New technology and declassified documents have since allowed investigators to revisit the scene with greater scrutiny. This re-examination shakes the foundation of the accepted explanation and suggests that the danger Murphy faced after the war extended far beyond combat zones. It hints at betrayal closer to home, within the shadows of politics and power. Understood. Yet, before the present investigation into his last flight scandal developed into public suspicion, requires the investigation of his character. Audie Murphy was no ordinary figure. Throughout his life, he demonstrated exceptional bravery and determination, which created multiple complex characteristics that existed before his last flight. People need to understand Murphy's upbringing because it explains why his death became such a compelling story. The early life of Audie Murphy shows how he developed into a man who fought his internal struggles while serving in military combat. A small Texas farm serves as the starting point for his extraordinary life journey. Audie Murphy was born in Kingston, Texas, where he became the seventh of 12 children born to Emmett and Josie Bell Murphy, who were sharecroppers facing economic difficulties during the Great Depression. Emmett and Josie Bell Murphy, his parents, survived the Great Depression by working as sharecroppers who faced major economic difficulties, which affected all rural areas of America. The family lived in extreme poverty, which made it difficult to obtain essential items, so young Audie had to take on adult responsibilities. The family experienced its first major loss when Audie was still a boy because Murphy's father deserted them. The family had to manage their 12 children when Murphy's father abandoned them all. The family experienced their next tragedy when Murphy's mother died at age 16. He had to support his younger siblings after he became an orphan with nothing more than a 5th-grade education. Murphy developed his deep sense of responsibility and mental strength through his work experience, which required nothing more than his determination during his formative years. His early struggles established the foundation for his character, which developed into his exceptional determination and persistence. The most difficult situations Murphy faced required him to show his determination and humble nature, which became his 2 main personality traits. The hardships he faced in life helped him develop qualities that led him to an unexpected destiny. The U.S. Army drafted him into World War II when he joined their ranks in 1942 because he met their weight and height requirements. His small size made him an unsuitable candidate for military success until his bravery proved his worthiness for combat. The young man from Texas would go on to etch his name into the annals of World War II as one of the most decorated soldiers America ever produced. Forged in poverty and pain. Murphy's upbringing in a poor farming family during the Great Depression was exceptionally harsh and unpredictable. Born to sharecroppers, he witnessed firsthand the relentless struggle to survive on meager land and scarce resources. His childhood was punctuated by physical labor and hardship, shaping his toughness and resolve in a way few children today could comprehend. The absence of his father added emotional strain, leaving his mother to bear the harsh realities alone. Education was cut short when financial realities forced Murphy out of school after just a 5th-grade level of learning. Instead of classrooms, he faced the world of odd jobs, clearing fields, loading cattle, and other labor-intensive work to help support his large family. The burden of responsibility weighed heavily on his young shoulders, yet he accepted it with no complaint, learning resilience by necessity. His early life was marked by survival through grit rather than privilege. This background seeded qualities that became essential for his later military success. Despite his small size, standing 5 feet 5 inches tall and weighing just over 110 pounds, Murphy developed a toughness and determination that would allow him to overcome physical limitations. He honed a quick mind and a fierce sense of loyalty toward others, traits that would endear him to comrades and commanders alike. The Army accepted Murphy after his first attempt to join the Navy, and Marine Corps failed because of his small body size. The Army became his next destination after his initial rejection because his outstanding courage proved his worth, despite his small physique. The character of Murphy developed through his unyielding determination to define himself instead of letting circumstances control him. The measurement of actual strength requires evaluation of both spirit and heart instead of using physical dimensions. Murphy dedicated himself to his responsibilities as a soldier without any limitations on his military duty. The mental and emotional effects of combat struck him deeply after the war because he developed battle fatigue, which today is known as post-traumatic stress disorder. Murphy openly shared his personal challenges, which most veterans of his time kept secret, while he pushed for better treatment methods and support systems. His bravery extended beyond his combat duties because he tackled the concealed psychological damage that soldiers acquired from their military service. Murphy displayed a humble nature throughout his career because he based his self-identity on the hard times he experienced during his childhood. He maintained equal treatment for everyone because he believed his childhood upbringing protected him from Hollywood and wartime fame. The process of overcoming challenges required him to engage in both mental and physical training. His personal history determined how he would treat people in both his professional and family relationships. The young child learned to value stability and support throughout his life, while these concepts became his main life themes. The pursuit of peace and normal life became Murphy's goal, which followed him through periods of his life. The dual nature of Murphy's character traits, which combine brave and weak aspects together with humble and heroic traits, makes his life story particularly compelling. His initial life experiences formed the basis for him to develop into a person who endured difficulties while existing as both a soldier and a Hollywood star. Understanding this background is essential as we move toward the incredible feats that secured his place in history and the dark questions that later clouded his legacy. Extraordinary military service. Audie Murphy's military career remains one of the most remarkable in American history. Enlisting in 1942 as a fresh-faced 19-year-old, he quickly proved his mettle across multiple battlefronts: North Africa, Italy, France, and Germany. Though physically unimposing, his courage and tactical skill turned him into a formidable soldier. His leadership inspired those who fought alongside him, elevating unit morale under the most harrowing conditions. One of Murphy's most legendary moments occurred on January 26, 1945, near Holtzwihr, France. Despite being wounded and outnumbered, he single-handedly held off an entire company of German troops for over an hour. Climbing atop a burning tank destroyer, he manned its .50 caliber machine gun to mow down advancing enemies while simultaneously calling in artillery strikes. This fearless act of valor earned him the Medal of Honor at just 19 years old. His decorations did not stop there. By the time the war ended, Murphy had received 33 awards and decorations from the United States and Allied nations combined. These included the Distinguished Service Cross, 2 Silver Stars, the Bronze Star, 3 Purple Hearts, and numerous others. No other American soldier of World War II received so many combat honors. Murphy had become a symbol of gallantry and sacrifice. Behind these medals was a man who often downplayed his own heroism and attributed success to teamwork and luck. Despite his fame, Murphy remained modest, aware of the many lives lost alongside his. He carried the emotional weight of war silently, a closeness to pain few understood at the time. His military service received exceptional recognition, which changed his identity for life after the war. After serving his country as a national hero, Murphy returned home but encountered difficulties when he tried to adjust to civilian life, which included his military injuries and his combat-related psychological damage. The battlefield had transformed him, and he was never quite able to leave its shadows behind. Murphy's story of valor transcended the battlefield when he chose to share it with the public. Murphy published his memoir, To Hell and Back, which became a best-selling book and was later turned into a successful motion picture starring Murphy himself. The audience received a unique chance to see actual wartime events, which established his legacy as both a soldier and a storyteller. Murphy achieved many awards, but people continued to whisper about his personal struggles throughout his entire life. The condition of PTSD, which people back then understood, caused him distress. His willingness to discuss his difficulties with veterans' mental health problems created a new understanding for those who suffered from similar issues. He supported individuals who battled their own inner struggles by showing that true bravery existed outside of military service. The study of Murphy's military accomplishments, together with their associated responsibilities, forms a vital section for comprehending his intricate existence. The circumstances surrounding his death create an emotional connection that makes his heroic acts more mysterious. The contrast between Murphy's celebrated bravery and the shadow cast over his final years sets the stage for the deeper investigation into what really happened that tragic day. Post-war struggles and Hollywood. Returning home from war as America's most decorated soldier, Audie Murphy quickly found that heroism on the battlefield did not guarantee peace in civilian life. The psychological scars he carried were deep and lasting, rooted in experiences few could fully understand. What was then called battle fatigue, now recognized as post-traumatic stress disorder, haunted him throughout his post-war years. Despite these struggles, Murphy used his public platform to raise awareness about veterans' mental health, becoming one of the first well-known figures to speak openly about the emotional toll of combat. Hollywood offered him a new kind of battlefield. Murphy transitioned into acting, starring in over 40 films that ranged from war dramas to westerns, where he found a measure of success. His most famous role was in the 1955 film To Hell and Back, a powerful biographical war movie adapted from his own memoir. Remarkably, Murphy played himself, recreating key moments from his military career with striking authenticity. Murphy maintained his focus on his acting work instead of pursuing public recognition, which comes from his performances. He approached acting work with a modest attitude because he considered himself a good worker instead of claiming to be a skilled actor. He maintained his humble attitude, which had been his life approach since birth. He chose acting parts that matched his life experiences while he maintained awareness of his off-screen struggles. Murphy pursued multiple artistic activities beyond his acting work through his songwriting work. He composed numerous country and western songs, which were later recorded by top musicians Dean Martin and Charlie Pride. Murphy demonstrates his artistic abilities through this aspect of his work, which he used to show himself beyond his cinematic roles. His artistic projects aimed to connect with audiences through authentic interactions instead of seeking public attention. Murphy's work in Hollywood also included key collaborations that expanded his influence. For example, his partnership with writer Claire Huffaker produced screenplays for two of his major films in 1961. His relationship with producers like Willard and Mary Willingham further shaped some of Murphy's most memorable projects, blending gritty storytelling with strong performances. These collaborations demonstrated Murphy's growing role behind the camera as well as in front of it. His television appearances expanded his public profile. In 1960, he starred with Thelma Ritter in a significant episode of the anthology series Star Time, which demonstrated his ability to perform various roles and his appealing personality. At this time, Murphy used his fame to promote the United States Army's The Big Picture documentary series. Through his 3 episodes, he served as a reliable expert who protected military technology and operations while proving his dedication to his country during both active duty and peacetime. The dedication received recognition from others. In 1960, Murphy received the Outstanding Civilian Service Medal for his work with Army Public Relations. The recognition demonstrated how Murphy's post-war life as an entertainer remained dedicated to his patriotic and civic responsibilities. The path he followed between these two worlds presented numerous difficulties that required continuous effort to overcome. Murphy could not escape his internal conflicts. The Hollywood industry and his celebrity status created additional challenges which increased his wartime stress. Murphy experienced achievement as an actor, yet he fought against persistent suffering that stemmed from his military experiences. His public mental health advocacy work created new paths for others to follow, yet it resulted in personal sacrifices for him. Murphy pursued stability and normal life through all his endeavors, which directly opposed the chaotic situations that persisted throughout his existence. The Hollywood spotlight showed his abilities, yet it could not protect him from his historical burdens. The conflict between his public achievements and his personal difficulties would dominate the upcoming developments in his life. The personal challenges he faced were reflected not only in his career, but also deeply in his relationships and family life. Personal life and relationships. Murphy's personal life was marked by both moments of joy and profound challenges, mirroring the complex man behind the public persona. In 1949, he married Wanda Hendricks, a rising Hollywood actress with her own growing career. Their union attracted considerable media attention, a spotlight reflecting Murphy's skyrocketing fame as the most decorated American soldier of World War II and Wanda's blossoming stardom. However, the pressures of Hollywood and Murphy's ongoing struggles with post-traumatic stress disorder strained the marriage. The demands of public life, combined with the emotional toll of his experiences, created tensions that neither could fully overcome. After 2 difficult years, the couple divorced officially in 1951, closing a chapter that had been both romantic and heavily scrutinized by the media. Remarkably, Murphy remarried just 4 days after his divorce was finalized. His second wife was Pamela Opal Lee Archer, a former airline stewardess whose calm and grounded personality stood in stark contrast to the turbulence of his first marriage. Pamela's steady nature provided much-needed stability for Murphy, and their relationship quickly became a source of personal strength. Together, Audie and Pamela built a family that became central to Murphy's later life. They had 2 sons, Terry Michael and James Shannon Murphy, born in the early 1950s. Both boys grew up with the awareness of their father's extraordinary legacy and the complexities that accompanied it. For Murphy, family was a refuge, offering a degree of normality he had long sought. The role of Pamela extended to more than her duties as a wife. Murphy used her as his secret keeper, who assisted him with his numerous challenges resulting from his celebrity status, his personal trauma, and the demands of society. Her support became essential to Murphy during the times when he struggled with persistent pain and the emotional impacts of his war experiences. Their marriage remained stable throughout their relationship, which contrasted with his past life when he experienced loss and confusion. Murphy found temporary contentment through the presence of his sons and the consistent nature of his marital relationship, which had departed from him for an extended period. He found the strength to survive through his family connections, which acted as his main source of support. His wartime experiences and his public work continued to cast a long shadow over his life, even in safe spaces that provided him protection. The public role of Murphy and his private life needs both created ongoing tension, which determined all his relationships. His family provided him with love and support, yet he continued to battle with the lasting effects of his military service and his trauma experiences. The life of Michael developed into a complicated existence, which showed the difficulties that soldiers encounter when they return to civilian life after serving in combat. The human existence of a hero exists beneath which all heroes must struggle to overcome their most fundamental challenges. The personal challenges that Murphy encountered throughout his life make his death mystery more emotional and powerful. This balance of family stability amid personal hardship sets the stage for the questions that would arise following his tragic and controversial death. Origins of conspiracy theories. The tragic plane crash that claimed Audie Murphy's life was initially accepted by many as a straightforward accident, but beneath the surface, doubts quietly persisted. Early on, questions about the circumstances of the crash began to emerge, fueling speculation that this was no ordinary mishap. Why had the plane flown so low over treacherous mountainous terrain, in poor visibility? Why were some critical pieces of wreckage missing from the crash site? Whispers circulated that Murphy's complicated personal life and ongoing struggles with post-traumatic stress disorder might have played a role, but more ominous suggestions followed. Rumors gained traction that shadowy figures might have wanted to silence him, hinting at a darker story behind the fatal flight. Some theories alleged connections to intelligence agencies, suggesting Murphy held sensitive information from his Hollywood years and government contacts that made him a liability. Others pointed fingers at foes from private business disputes or even organized crime. Each theory, though unproven, found eager audiences fascinated by the mystery. The inconsistencies and unanswered questions created fertile ground for doubt. Murphy's family remained firm in insisting on the accident explanation, unwilling to believe their loved one had fallen victim to foul play. But public curiosity persisted, fueled by murky witness testimonies and missing evidence that left room for far darker possibilities. Over the decades, these conjectures lingered like shadows over Murphy's legacy, complicating the public's perception of the man many viewed as the quintessential American hero. The very fact that key details about the crash were never fully disclosed or examined allowed conspiracy theories to flourish without challenge. As time passed, the story became less about the accident and more about what might have been hidden. The legend of Murphy's wartime valor creates a conflict with his death, which developed into an uncertain state that aroused public doubt. This narrative shift creates unease because it shows how political figures manage their public image in situations where they possess power and knowledge of confidential information. The soldier who battled his opponents on the battlefield now found himself fighting against challenges that remained hidden from most observers. The ongoing existence of these theories demonstrates how people lose faith in governmental operations during Cold War periods when states maintain their secrets. Many wondered if Murphy's high profile and his outspoken nature on veterans' issues made him a target for those wishing to maintain silence around sensitive operations. The idea of a hidden operation started to develop into an actual presence that controlled his activities during his last period of existence. Family members who had initially dismissed these claims found themselves grappling with conflicting emotions as new information slowly surfaced. Their pursuit of justice for a man who dedicated his life to his country yet faced deep personal struggles after military service created an emotional black hole without closure. The boundary between actual events and fictional content became less distinct, which increased both the mystery and the sense of treachery. The inquiry remained open because people wanted to know whether Audie Murphy died from an accident or whether his death resulted from intentional deception. This growing intrigue and doubt eventually sparked a new wave of investigation, bringing modern forensic tools and declassified documents into the search for answers. New investigations and evidence. In recent years, the search for the truth behind Audie Murphy's death has gained new momentum. Advances in forensic technology and newly accessible government records have allowed investigators to re-examine the 1971 plane crash with far greater precision. What they found has begun to challenge the long-accepted explanation of pilot error in poor weather. A new analysis of the wreckage revealed disturbing signs of possible tampering. Investigators reported that key flight control wires appeared cut or altered in ways that suggest deliberate interference rather than mechanical failure. If accurate, this points to sabotage, transforming what was once believed to be a tragic accident into something far more calculated. Further unease comes from testimonies of previously silent witnesses and retired officials. Some claim Murphy was under surveillance in the months leading up to his death, raising questions about whether he had drawn attention from powerful groups. Perhaps most striking are claims from a whistleblower who alleged Murphy may have uncovered sensitive information tied to covert operations. According to this account, his knowledge could have made him a liability, leading to efforts to silence him while disguising the truth. While not all claims are confirmed, these developments have reopened the case in the court of public opinion, leaving one question lingering. Was Murphy's death truly an accident, or something far more deliberate? The assertions that you make create consequences that affect everything and create mental distress. A celebrated war hero, once thought lost to a tragic mishap, now appeared to have been betrayed in peacetime by forces far more dangerous than the enemies he faced abroad. The transformation of a heroic end into a narrative of conspiracy and calculated violence created dark shadows that extended from Murphy's last moments to the political atmosphere that permitted such betrayal. The new information about Murphy has changed his family's life, because they face ongoing sadness while seeking answers about his death. The evidence of foul play has led them to demand an investigation, which should include all details about their loved one's death, while they seek justice for a hero who served his nation. Their quest to reclaim his dignity underscores the deep human cost behind the cold facts. Military historians and experts also wrestle with the new understanding of Murphy's legacy. The Hollywood entertainment industry and U.S. intelligence agencies and government organizations that existed during the Cold War period now connect to his story. The perils faced by public figures who crossed certain boundaries have become a renewed focus of study. The complete account of Murphy's death remains unknown, despite new information coming to light about his passing. Some questions may never be answered, leaving a haunting ambiguity that mirrors the very struggles Murphy endured throughout his life. What once was accepted as a fate sealed by circumstance now serves as a sobering reminder that even heroes can fall victim to darkness far more insidious than battlefields ever revealed. Murphy's death invites us to question how power, secrecy, and betrayal can rewrite history itself. Legacy and unanswered questions. Audie Murphy's legacy, once defined purely by heroism, now carries a shadow of unanswered questions. Celebrated as the most decorated American soldier of World War II, his rise from poverty to legend inspired millions. Yet the mysterious circumstances surrounding his death force a deeper look, not just at how he died, but at the powerful forces that may have shaped his final years. A man who survived the horrors of war may have faced a different kind of battle long after the fighting ended. These new perspectives raise difficult questions about trust, secrecy, and betrayal during a tense era in American history. Murphy's ties to Hollywood, the military, and possible government circles place him at a unique and complicated intersection. What once seemed like a tragic accident now hints at something far more complex, turning his death into a symbol of hidden power and unanswered truth. The pain that his family experiences has grown more intense with each passing year. The decades of silence have ended because people now demand new investigations to honor Murphy as both a hero and a man who might have suffered injustice. Historians are currently investigating his history because they want to show new evidence that disproves the established story of his heroic achievements and selfless acts. The existence of multiple unanswered questions continues to persist. Who held the actual accountable? The evidence presents two possibilities. Either a cover-up occurred, or the current suspicions originated from incomplete evidence. Murphy's tale keeps existing because historical events show themselves to be more complex than their first appearance. The new information about him shows that his courage increases with every new finding about him. Audie Murphy's story stands as a powerful reminder that heroism does not end on the battlefield. and that some of the greatest struggles are the ones history almost forgets. Audie Murphy's story is one of bravery, pain, and a haunting mystery finally coming to light. His legacy challenges us to look past simple narratives and confront uncomfortable truths. If you found this deep dive into Murphy's life and the secrets surrounding his death eye-opening, please like and subscribe for more stories that uncover history's hidden layers. And don't miss the next video appearing on your screen, where another untold story is about to unfold.